Good evening, everyone. It is Monday, October 9th, 2023, and we have special music this evening. It's 6:30, and I would like to call this special meeting to order. We're going to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Milan,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson. Here. Councilmember Sampson. Here. Councilmember Shepherd. Here. Councilmember Tinlin. Here. That is a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next thing we'll do is public comment. If you're here this evening and you'd like to speak to an item on our agenda, please make your way to the podium. Since no one would like to make their way to the podium, we will close public comment and move on to the next item, which is consideration to approve the Hartwell Concrete Contract Modification number 25 for miscellaneous pavement and sewer repairs.
Support.
Mr. Ricker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is an unforeseen opportunity, hence the need for a special meeting, as Hartwell Concrete has an unplanned opening in their schedule. They are aware of our desire to keep the miscellaneous concrete repairs moving at a capacity that is mutually beneficial to them and the city. They have the capacity to get significant repairs completed in the next 2 weeks at the following locations: Langley and Crooks, West Selfridge and Crooks, the entire intersection of South Marias and Dakota, curb to curb on Dakota west of Bywood, and curb to curb on Bywood north of Dakota. The collective square footage is 11,477 square feet and will be paid from the major and local roads funds. DPW leadership is present if there's any need to discuss. I've also provided you a map of our previous completions, and I'll share it with the public. So the blue is the completed Selfridge project. The yellow are the proposed projects that are currently going through planning and engineering, and then the green and the pink, those are the completed miscellaneous, and the orange is what is proposed and in front of you today.
Any questions?
So I guess Mr. Raker looks like you kind of get two clusters here. You got the cluster like basically, we'll call it Nakota, Marias, Bywood cluster in the southwest part of town, and the far east center, you got a Selfridge and Langley. Those are the two groupings. Okay.
Good evening, Trevor.
Good evening.
Do you have anything you'd like to share with us?
So the reason for the clustering is for the tight schedule. So we tried to spread it out, but also keep it close.
Okay.
Because if they're in the same area, they can get it done quicker. The idea is, not the idea, we will get this done before winter. So that we have a list of places to go. We took that list. What's going to do the most? What can we get done? We're not looking to do another split fall to spring type thing. We want to get it done. And part of that is also because this contract mod, well, has been beneficial to us. It is time to maybe go out to bid again. Not to say anything against Hartwell. They most likely will be the best bid, but we need a new contract. There's no way around it. We've had this contract for many years. It's done very well to us, but we need a new, more up-to-date contract. So our plan would be going into next year, starting a new contract. Whether that's with them or not, but we don't want to keep operating, keep doing the same contract modification.
Okay. Mr. Ricker.
So what we've done, this is probably this is the fourth kind of iteration over 3 different miscellaneous concrete program attempts, is that we've developed a pattern of like, how do we do this, execute, how do we put things together and be nimble. But to the superintendent's point, we need to this has become now a more formal program. It's going to be a major, it's going to be one of the long poles in the tent for us to get these roads back to a respectable condition. And so since this is going to be more of a repeating type of program, we can make it more predictable and have competitive bidding so that you have a program in the spring and a program in the fall. And then ideally, we would have major projects at some point as well. Those projects would either be, you know, like maybe one a year or one every other year because they're so large in scale. So we'd have to save some of our funds in you know, every other year kind of thing. So, but the miscellaneous program, this program has demonstrated our ability and capacity to develop something and create and sustain some momentum. And I do believe that will be on a larger scale going forward. Once we, this may be unpopular, but I've been talking about it since I got here. Well, if we have a successful you know, infrastructure millage go through, that would be something that would contribute to it. You know, on a continuing basis going forward. So for unfortunately several years to come.
You for guns or you got sounds like you weren't.
Am I for it? This contract is done very well for us. You gotta move with times. We can't just continuously, well, it's helped us to do stuff like this. It works out in our time, their time to knock things out. We need to we don't want to keep modifying a contract. We need a new, fresh contract that AEW goes through, cleans it up, makes it make more sense for us.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this doesn't make sense. I'm just saying it's been since 2014, I believe, and that's too long. I mean,
I brought it up a couple times. Something that happened. If you're good with the price.
I'm fine with the price. I mean, as with everything, prices go up. But like I said,
It's the same price.
no, it's the same price. Yes,
So Trevor, what you're suggesting is a long-term contract for miscellaneous concrete. Is it?
but what I'm suggesting is we take advantage of our opportunity right now.
Mhm.
Try to get as much done as possible, but through the winter, moving into the fall. Go out to bid, get a new contract set up, and then, but our goal is to start doing a regular spring, fall road patching.
Okay, so miscellaneous concrete would kind of become a regular biannual program
That-
funded by a long-term contract with the most attractive bidder.
Correct.
Okay. Just one question, these areas that are going to get the concrete, I assume, or should I ask, is the sewer and water mains underneath them in good condition?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, none of our stuff's in good condition, but none of it is a pressing matter at the moment, and that's the good thing about the patching. Not the good thing, the difference between patching and a complete road construction. We absolutely are gonna be not doing a complete road construction over something that's gonna most likely have to just be dug up again.
Sure.
With the road patching, this is a long-term solution for these patches that are small. But if opportunity comes and we get an opportunity for some reason in that spot to replace our utilities, it's not the end of the world, not ideal. And in most cases, those patches won't even be part of it. But and also in most cases, if we're doing utilities, we're also looking at road. It's just the way our city is right now.
Okay.
Anyone else?
So the contracts, you mentioned having a spring program and a fall program. Would that be under the same contract for whoever you go on to? Or would they be split?
That's why moving into the spring, we're gonna attempt to start making this and try to break it out into fiscal years.
Okay.
Instead of, like I said, if we keep splitting things up and it gets, I don't want to continue to keep saying, well, we have this contract mod. Let's just keep going with it. I want to start planning the stuff out more ahead of time.
Mhm.
Rather than, like we're saying right now, we're taking advantage of something. I want to say, we're doing this in the spring, we're doing this in the fall. We're set. We spent the winter planning it. We know exactly what we're doing for the year.
So that's, but these are my other questions as far as, you know, on this is addressing 23. My question is, what do we have? And is it ready for prime time to publish for projected for 2024? Or small projects.
Oh, yeah, we've got plenty.
Okay.
We have,
Right, as I say, so
Yeah.
we've got 23, so.
yeah, no, we have a running list of problem areas. And from the time I got into management, it was just, well, we know about this, we know about that. We now have a working document that we can continue to add stuff to. So when it comes time, we just go to that. Like I said, we went to that list for this, but we tried to localize and also move different areas.
Okay, because of the time constraint and the arbitrariness of the weather for right now.
Correct.
And so who do we use, do you know, before Hartwell?
I don't know.
Just to go and look at the concrete stamps and figure it out?
I could do that. Italia.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been Hartwell since I've been paying attention.
All right.
They change your policy on that. You know, the one problem I don't mind with cut through two potholes. More than third down the pothole. We change the policy on.
I wouldn't say we changed the policy, but I will say
You're looking
what
at-
your concern is, we keep going. And like I told you before, then when do we stop? But we are looking to be more robust with sections. Instead of doing small areas, we're looking to make the biggest difference we can for the money. And that can happen by doing bigger sections. So yes, we're saying patching, but some of those patchworks could look very large. But when you start looking at complete road construction, it's a drop in the bucket compared to what that's gonna cost. Yeah, we talked about this.
Yep.
Yep.
As long as we're looking at it.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. I think we can call a vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson. Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Councilmember Sampson, Councilmember Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Yes.
Great. Look forward to getting those little projects completed, and then we'll move on to the next item, which is item 6. Consideration of a quote from Spray Patch to mitigate road and parking lot surface breakdown.
Motion. Your motion.
Pardon me?
Need a motion.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Helping.
Anybody want to make the motion? I'll make a motion. Okay.
Go ahead, Scott.
Okay, gotcha. All right, now we can.
Okay, let's talk about Spray Patch.
Yes, ma'am. Spray Patch is a local company with a new product technique that is worthy of our consideration, given our road network and parking lots are in such poor condition. In an effort to improve our roads and parking lots where we are currently unable to fund complete reconstruction projects, we are looking for other options that are both affordable and also make a large difference. We believe Spray Patch might be an additional tool in our efforts to improve our roads and parking lots. We have identified 4 different areas, 2 different types of parking lots, and 2 different types of roads to perform spray patching on. It is our intent to try this product out in these different areas to determine if this is a viable option for the city moving forward. The reason for trying the 4 different types is to determine which types of surfaces and locations this service could be useful. This project is not intended to be a permanent fix. However, we cannot continue to ignore the major issues without attempting to at the very least improve the areas and help the areas from continuing to deteriorate while we continue aggressively searching for funding mechanisms. Attached is an estimate from Spray Patch Road Repair Incorporated and a list of locations and the approximate linear and square footage of the locations. I've spoken to other communities that have used this company and are very satisfied with the outcome. We are requesting approval of $28,975 to be paid out of local and major roads for this project.
Is there a time period where they find this spray patch to be a good useful material? I'm assuming it's not as heavy duty as another fix, right? So like, what's the erosion process on it?
Like, how long will it last?
Yeah, thank you. How long will it last?
So there's a lot of different things that go into it. Traffic, the type of traffic, and the type of road. So that's why we pick multiple different things, different traffic patterns, different types of roads, because we want to feel what's best for us. I've heard very good things about this company, but most of it is on major roads. And we're looking to do local, so I feel like it should help, but I don't want to just start saying I want to spend this money on something without knowing exactly what are its capabilities and what's best fits our city. So the time frame is I had it written down here. They only guarantee up to, I want to say it was
It's 1 year guarantee.
1 year guarantee with the ability to come back and fix, patch what they had. But the idea is the less traffic, the more they guarantee. So like on a local road, they're saying if it's not a heavily traveled road, you could get 7 to 8 years out of it. 7 to 8 years.
Can you describe the whole process?
So what they do is they come in with machines that they built themselves, well, this particular company, and they will, what they call scarf for concrete, or like some of our roads that are overlays. They'll break out all the loose stuff and then till it's not loose anymore. So that causes it's hard to judge what it's going to be. But then when they come in, they do that and then they spray in, it's kind of like an adhesive that goes in, and then they spray in the actual fill, and then they go through after and they roll it. And it's supposed to be drivable almost immediately after they're done.
How do we keep the product out of the city? I know that
So
one of the cities over there has a real problem if there's no product on the street.
their scarfing machines actually have brooms behind them.
No,
That-
spray. You just spray it.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. When they scarf it, they have brooms that broom it up as they go, and then they'll broom the street. And then after they spray it, they actually and roll it, they'll go through and broom it again with a sweeper similar to like what we have. And then our plan is also, we have a sweeper. We're gonna go through and do a sweep to make sure we're cleaning that up. The way I see it is it's not gonna be any more than what when we throw our cold patch in. So yes, when you drive over it, you're gonna hear the ting, 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 ting. So there's gonna be some of that, but that's, to me, it's not any different than when we do cold patch, except for this is gonna stay a lot longer than what our cold patch does.
Anybody else do it?
What's that?
Any other companies do it?
There is. There are other companies, and we have thought about that, and it's not that we don't want to look at other companies, but we're trying to get this moving. This is a company that I've heard really good things from other communities. So we had them come out, they gave us this estimate. If it's your wish that we go out and get more quotes, that's fine, but it won't happen this year then.
So they're out of Madison Heights, correct?
Correct.
So again, this adhesive, so you're coming up, I'm envisioning one of our worst roads like Treon. It's kind of a combination of asphalt and concrete. Would that be a candidate for this process?
That is 100% my driving force behind this.
Okay, so describe, you're gonna level it off.
No, they're not gonna level
What's
it.
the wrong?
So what it's gonna end up being, especially in on those roads, is they're gonna go through with their machines and start breaking out like all the spots where we cold patched, all the spots where it's breaking out. And they'll break out till they get to where it's not doing it anymore. And then from there, they clean it out, they clean everything out, and then they go through and spray it.
How much is square foot?
They don't charge by square foot, they charge by load.
So,
By load, how many loads they bring in to fill in those potholes.
so they got that. There's always the old spray and that probably doesn't make it, but we're still paying for that to go on.
They charge us by load.
So again, I guess I'm envisioning, you got a really rough road. They're gonna pull out the cold patch, you're saying, all the way down to concrete or just level it up?
Yep, they're gonna go down to the solid base.
Now, once you do that, isn't the concrete at different levels?
No, it won't be because they're gonna level it off of the good stuff. So
Okay, so there
Listen-
will be a leveling, once they rip out the
Yeah,
cold patch, there'll
when-
be a leveling process.
they will roll it. It's not gonna be, they're not gonna have lasers out there leveling it. Like we said, this is not by any means fixing these roads. It is us trying to make life better for people that live on these roads, because I don't know if any of you guys live on these roads, but they're but at the same time, we want to know what is the capabilities of this. So that's why we're trying it in other areas. we have many parking lots that need work drastically. This could be a way to give us that little bit of bridge to where when we can afford to actually redo these parking lots.
What else?
Well, I have a question just for protocol, since we haven't taken this out to bid yet. And we have a requirement in our charter and ordinances, what would we do as a body?
If I may, you do have the ability to waive competitive bidding. If you pass it by 4 votes, being that this is by recommendation of the city manager who acts as our purchasing agent for purposes of this.
Thank you.
We don't need bids.
I'm sorry?
We don't need bids.
No, you can waive, any bids, but it has to pass by 4 votes in order to do so.
The passage of 4 votes is the implied
Correct.
waiving of bids. Is that correct?
Particularly so now that
Okay.
we've actually addressed it.
Well, he was clear in stating that this is kind of like a trial to see if the product worked well for a small version, right? Small, relatively small amount. And then I'm assuming if we decide this is a great process, a good enough process for us, and you want to pursue it further, you could, of course,
if-
seek bids in future.
Come back with it, just one parking lot, let's see how it sticks. Let's see how the whole problem is.
Except he wanted to try different surfaces so that he could see the effect on different surfaces.
Start with the parking lot and watch that for winter and then.
Well, I'd rather have it be on a heavily trafficked area rather than parking lot. Parking lot would, but not necessarily, nobody's going through at 30 miles an hour. Let's be honest, some of these streets have probably been doing that. Heartbreaking doesn't happen in a parking lot.
Parking lots you could be turning on.
Sure. The other thing too is we'll be having some. So it's good for a year. We're gonna have some heavy traffic with the reconstruction of the turnabout in front of the school. So how is that going to merge with their plans with making that construction?
So we picked that parking lot because it needs it.
Sure.
But also there's a lot more around that parking lot that need it that we are avoiding due to that fact. I don't want to judge based off of inappropriate information because of construction equipment that wouldn't typically go down a road.
Yeah.
So it's just the actual parking lot. It's not the roads around it.
Mr. Riker, you had your hand?
We're also racing the weather. So that's one of the reasons as well. We're racing the weather, getting bad. Winter is coming, so they say in Hollywood.
So the weather has a implied impact on how they can apply it and how long it's going to adhere and last.
No, it has an impact on when they're able to apply it.
Okay,
So,
I'm just saying.
yeah, once winter hits, they can't start putting that in because it's gonna have ice and other stuff.
Mhm.
So we were told if we went ahead with this, that we would get done before winter.
Okay,
But-
I guess I'm sorry, you mentioned before and I forgot, but in my comment that they said it's drivable as soon as it's sprayed.
Correct.
And then temperature that have.
We didn't speak about that, but pretty much once the ice starts getting in there on a regular basis, they're not gonna spray it.
I think we've been for smaller. 2 options I have is smaller, like one, like if you want to do a road out. Or bid it out.
Council, I'd ask for 4 votes and keep this moving. We got some momentum. People want some relief and we need to provide.
Okay, if we don't have any other comments, let's have a roll call, please.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Councilmember Sampson.
No.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson. Yes. Passes with 4 votes.
Great, so that did pass, and we are looking forward to trying out spray patch on these dedicated areas and hopefully be able to use that. Hopefully we'll find success and be able to use it to kind of make some bridges moving forward. Thank you to our DPW gentlemen for coming here tonight and for bringing us this information and providing good options for our community. We appreciate you, Ryan and Trevor.
Don't go anywhere, Ryan Trevor.
Next up, we are going to have a discussion on contracting out the removal of hazardous trees.
Point of order.
They're gonna do it.
You finished?
No.
Would you like to speak to the whole crowd then? Yes, no? That means you are finished?
Oh, yeah. Fair back.
I'm not, you can continue if you're not finished. We don't want to start without you.
Yours.
Continue.
Thank you. Okay, then we will move on to that item number 7, which is discussion on contracting the removal of hazardous trees. Mr. Riker?
Yes, ma'am. So since we're just having a discussion, I'll read the leadership from DPW's letter. The Department of Public Works is dedicated to providing the residents of Clawson with the best possible services. However, the DPW is still feeling the long-term effects of the pandemic, and the maintenance of our municipal trees is suffering. The DPW's Parks and Forestry Divisions deals with the maintenance, trimming, and removal of all municipal trees for the city of Clawson. Staffing, equipment, and time are not in our favor with regards to the quick and safe removal of the hazardous trees on our removal list. Our current removal list, as it sits on October 5th, is 92 trees. Since March 17th of 2022, the DPW has removed 43 hazardous trees from the public right of way in city parks. We feel confident that we can remove another 12 trees within the next 6 to 8 weeks, leaving 80 trees remaining on the list for the unforeseeable future. Of these remaining 80 trees, many of which are significant in size, we estimate it may take up to another 2 to 3 years before we can get a handle on the entire removal list. In addition to our tree removal list, our Parks and Forestry Division also maintains a tree trimming list as well. Both our trimming list and removal list are living documents that have seemed to exponentially grow over the past few years and have exceeded our capabilities of handling quickly and safely. Due to our staffing levels and proper training of our staff, it is easier and safer to train on smaller trimming jobs than much larger removal jobs. The training of our staff and the proper techniques involved in tree trimming is important to help maintain both our trimming list and our removal list moving forward. We are confident that if our staff can focus strictly on getting our trim list under control, it will only benefit us in the future for both our trims and removal lists. The DPW is requesting that I approach you and request funds for a third party to assist in the maintenance of municipal trees with the removal of 8 hazardous trees in the public right of way in city parks. In conjunction with our Parks and Forestry Division, continuing with our trimming procedures as a third party assisting with these removals, we believe we can go back to pre-pandemic capabilities of maintaining our municipal trees. That was a lot there in the last paragraph, gentlemen.
Could we hear that one more time?
Got it. I'll take it from the top.
I have a question. I was just kind of looking at what you've done in the past. You'd said that up to since March 17th of 22, you've removed 43. Yeah. Yes, gentlemen, unless you come up to the microphone.
I think we need a motion first, though.
Yeah, you're right.
We're just discussing. It's just a discussion, just to give us some direction, whether it's like an RFP or you want 3 quotes, and we'll come back, and we'd also like to have a discussion about the utilization of ARPA funds.
All right. I move for the funding of the hazardous tree removal program. Support.
Okay.
Don't need to, but we can.
We have it on the table now.
Yeah, well, so I'm just curious, since March of 22 to now, which is about 1.5 years, you may have been able to remove 43 hazardous trees.
Right.
So you're moving along, looks like about 1.5 a month.
And these are-
18, I'm sorry.
These are typically smaller to medium sized trees that we're
Okay.
removing.
Small but hazardous.
Correct.
Okay.
Smaller, dead.
If you can give me a threshold of what's small, what's large.
For us, I mean, it all goes by size. So a medium sized tree, you're probably talking, 25 to 30 foot tall. Larger trees, anything over that. Smaller trees for us are anything from a 1 cut to, a couple hour job. We can get that down.
Okay. So then going forward, you're looking like you can do another 12 in 6 to 8 weeks, which is a relatively fast pace compared to the.
These are the ones that are particularly small. However, with some recent failures of equipment, I don't know if we can get that done. We are have some down equipment, and our staffing in our Parks Department right now is down to 2 people. So it'll be a 6 to 8 week process that we could probably get another say 12 to maybe 15 trees done, but it won't be the next 6 to 8 weeks. Because then we come into leaf season and that truck has to be transferred over to pick up leaves. So we can still do removals in the winter in that 6 to 8 week period and probably get a solid 12-ish trees down.
So the remaining 80 trees, are these of a larger variety?
Much larger, yes. Some of which we would have to contract out anyways because we don't have the capabilities of doing it.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, of the 80 trees that are hazardous, what portion, if time and resources was no issue, what percentage of them do you feel that you could probably remove using the city's resources?
Over a time period or the amount of trees?
Or like the amount of trees, say you got 80 trees, some of them may be completely beyond your
We could
capability.
probably do somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 70% of them.
Okay, but the other 30 to 40% you're saying is really
They're-
beyond your capability.
Yes, they're much too large for us to be able to handle. Usually a company would come in with a crane to be able to remove those.
Okay. So the 60 to 70%, you're saying we can't stretch that out. Do you feel, is it going over the winter, it's a hazard? Or it's just too much of a workload relative to everything
It's
you got going on?
way too much of a workload. Typically, we'll have 3 to 4 guys on a tree. We currently don't have the staffing to even do that. So this is part of the reason that our list has fallen behind. Because we just don't have the staffing or trained staff at this time to be able to do it.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So to the city clerk. How many, to the best of your recollection, in the last 18 months, we've had personal property claims due to hazardous trees falling on people's property, whether it be their house or vehicles? How many have we had?
So the hazardous trees, I can only think of one that was on the list.
Okay,
The other ones were just storm damage, like a crazy storm came through. There was one that was on the list and we did pay that person had the damage. But the other ones, there's plenty of complaints, but only one was on the list, I can tell you for
Thank you.
sure.
Twice, right?
Was it twice?
Well, it was
The same tree.
Same tree twice.
Yeah, same tree twice, yeah.
Right away.
Yeah. And they continued to park their car under it, no matter what, so.
It has since been removed though.
Yes, that tree's gone.
And the car too, most likely.
Well, I'd like to see the list. And I'd like to know the criteria too. You mentioned dead, right? In going around, I don't recall, how many dead trees I've seen. Certainly there are some that are failing, some that obviously do need removed. But it's a lot. And, certainly you've got your hands full with your capabilities of being able to remove those trees, but, in some situations, I'm just curious of whether or not it's just what the criteria was then in order to list it as being on the list for removing.
The head of our Parks Department, essentially, we have 3 lists. We have an inspect list, a trim list, and a removal list. And the head of our Parks Department just recently went through our entire inspect list and classified them either to go to a trim where we feel like the tree can survive with a couple of trimming of dead limbs. But if the tree gets to the point where it's, you're looking 70% dead, then it goes to the removal list and we take it down. But of that list right now, we got that inspect list down to a 0. As of the 5th, we already have 6 more trees that have been called in that people want us to go inspect. So this list does not stop. It's a living document and it's only growing.
Sure.
So
Yeah, and you have trees that you planted recently that didn't
it
take.
didn't take, yeah.
Right, so I mean, that's part of it too, I imagine. But one of the things too is, are you getting, and certainly I get these requests from residents, knowing my past history. And asking, what about this or what about this tree? And, certainly you'll have people call in, say they don't want a tree anymore, and whether or not it's because it's actually diseased or.
We do not take down healthy trees.
Okay.
So people do complain about, a limb fell on their car or a limb could fall. We don't take down healthy trees. So we determine whether it's healthy or dead or dying, and then we make that determination.
Okay, what's the criteria for that? Then can you have that available if you don't have it here?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
so the point of the conversation I made, Mayor, was we could have a conversation, and if you felt comfortable moving forward, we could go and get 3 quotes and move forward. Or if you wanted us to put a request for proposals, we could put it out for bid. And either way, we'll get the list to you. One might be a little bit more expeditious than the other.
Yeah, my concern is the scope, right? I know that there's a list here of 92 total, right? 80 that's on the list for removal, but you know, again, what's the criteria and are these?
92 are on the list for removal.
Right, that, and from what I saw, yeah. So I mean, we've talked about 92, 80. We'll go with 92, but just making sure that for what will go out for bid, will it be for 200 trees? Will it be for the 92? Will it be some other?
So what I'm trying to gauge what your interest level would be. Do we want to do get 3 quotes, or do we want to put it out for bid? Chances are we have an understanding that it's probably gonna be the same provider either way. So if that's the case, we could potentially save some time and have this done for the next meeting. And we could provide that entire list to you as well, and then the competitive quotes from at least 2 other service providers.
Yeah, so like I said, are we going out for the 92 that just for what's on that list? I mean, you're saying
Yeah.
it's a growing list, right? So.
We're looking to get the list under control. And at this point, it's out of control. We can't control it. If we get that back down to a reasonable number, whether it's 0, whether it's 10, then from moving forward, we have enough time that we can train our staff properly in the removal process, and then we can take over the list then.
Okay.
But you have a dilemma because you have 30 to 40%, you don't have the equipment capability, right, to take down?
Yeah,
So could we have that, maybe that quote in segments, like those I'm assuming are large trees and you talk about.
large to very large, yeah.
Because you do have a problem there. You have a certain segment that you don't have capability of, and we probably would have to use a third party
Yeah,
regardless, right?
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents.
So we could take a look at it from that perspective as well. And we comfortable with getting quotes, or do we need to put this, formalize this in a request for proposals? I think we'd be wasting administrative time and time to improve the safety. But what's the pleasure? And also I wanted to have the conversation too about the funding mechanism. We suggested using the ARP funds because this is basically caused, this was created due to COVID, and these are funds that are available to correct the impact of COVID as well. So just gauging your feeling on that. I mean, I would imagine to some degree, we could utilize local and major road funds for that. But we also have a major need for roads, so.
I'd like to just go for an RFP. How many days does it take us to take a tree out?
Depends on the size of the tree. We could have smaller trees down in a couple hours, but some of the larger ones take 3 to 4 days.
And yeah, I'd like to see them come back with a quote stamp. We can take most of them. Later.
You're commingling the thing, because there's either an RFP or quotes. I can come back and say, hey, well, I got three quotes. What, so you said it's worse?
No, that's what I want.
Okay.
That I would prefer.
Help me out with lingo, RFP.
You basically get a proposal to go out there to help me with the website, for bids, the Michigan.
Did that, the bid?
Yeah,
Okay, well, the motion itself was to see quotes for tree removal.
okay.
That was the motion that was made, so that's what's out there right now.
Gotcha. Then that's what it is.
I'll make the motion to
There's a motion.
modify.
We got a motion and a second, so.
No, to modify.
Why don't we vote on the first one, and if it doesn't go through, we'll.
Who was the originator of the motion?
I was,
Change it to
Councilmember
RFP.
Mayor Pro Tem.
would you like me to retract it or can it be retracted? It's to you.
You don't have to either.
So we have requests for code, requests for proposal, I mean.
Proposal.
We have an understanding of the service provider. I mean, has a pretty good.
There's a lot of service providers out there that. if
We also know that the service provider that we've done business with is very likely in either endeavor is probably going to be the same person. Fortunately or unfortunately, we can call for the quotes as well. I mean, it's kind of this. One, they're the active component, they're the active, they're pursuing the bid, and the other, we're pursuing them to provide a quote. I mean, the end result is kind of the same. I think we're saving time by getting quotes.
Are we concerned with time?
For hazardous trees, yes.
And how many of them are having?
Well, why is that? It's already explained.
You never know.
Because I don't want anybody's property or person to be injured or damaged.
So I mean, they should have been taken down yesterday. is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
And if I may, Mayor, I have brought this up in the past when it came to the utilization of ARPA funding, when it came to safety. I did bring up that we have a tree issue in town.
What's the estimated cost for this many trees?
Well, I guess it depends on your provider. We estimated the one that we've used in the past about 250,000.
They can do 80 trees for 250,000? Roughly?
That's why we go with them.
Yeah, I mean, like, if any, I've talked to several people lately who've had trees taken down and they're crazy expensive. Right? It seems like
Mhm.
might be a better deal,
Yeah, anywhere between $500, $800, depending on the size of the tree.
thousands.
Which is it? It's somewhere, it depends on the size of the tree and what your expectation is of what's getting done. You know, I've had trees been pruned and had to pay $500 for it, still standing. Right, so, you know, taking down a large tree, depending on how many there are,
I believe they were around $3,000 to $3,500 for a larger tree.
so.
Yes, and that's stumping, removing the stump grindings and landscape.
And then do
But-
you replace do you replace them with new growth in the spring?
Typically not that quick, but yeah, we would replace.
Right, so we have a motion. Why don't we vote on the motion that's on the table? If it doesn't fail, if it fails, we get back to another motion.
And Mr. Clerk, can you repeat it, please?
The motion was to seek quotes for tree removal. That was all.
We had a first and a second, right?
Mhm.
Right, let's do a roll call, please.
Councilmember Sampson.
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson.
Yes.
Mayor Milan.
Yes.
All right.
We will see quotes for tree removal. Take care of that. And that is the last item on our agenda. So let's call for adjournment.
Motion adjourned.
Roll call.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson.
Yes.
Mayor Milan.
Yes,
Councilmember Sampson.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
meeting adjourned.